Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bonding Time. We've got your host with me. I'm leading today today's moderation. The name's Patrick, Ramon Patrick.
Name
Hutchinson.
Greenwich. Christopher Greenwich.
Hutchinson. I almost said Ramon Hutchinson. Hutchinson. David Hutchinson.
That's odd. I'm John. Nice to meet
Not just John.
Hey John.
you. John. I'm trying to shorten the episode length, so we're just going a little bit shorter.
Yeah, and today's cover is Tomorrow Never Dies. So let's lead off the introductions. Let's start with you, Dave. What do you think of the opening?
Opening in this movie, kind of generic action movie flair. I mean, it was sort of interesting, but I think it's just like a product of the time. For me, it's not as memorable as Golden Eyes. It was very action, so in that sense, it was good. And the song, the opening song, to be quite honest, I can't even remember it. It's just not memorable.
It's generic.
So that's kind of the whole opening scene for me, and just the song and opening theme, not interesting, not memorable for me.
Okay.
I don't
Chris,
know,
let's hear you on this one.
yeah, I mean, well, the opening scene was good. You had the plane, Bond flying a plane, right? This one, it was like flying a plane, and you had the dog fight.
Yeah.
Um,
Saves the world from the Americans from blowing up nuclear missiles by accident.
right. Right. Yeah. He flies away the plane that has the nuclear missiles on it, right before they blow up the terrorist bazaar. So, yeah, I thought the airplane scene, the dogfight was pretty good. Standard Bond fare. I liked it. Um, but I will say, yeah, the song was not good, and it seems like there was a better song at the end for this movie. The song that plays during the end credits, that also features the words "Tomorrow Never Dies." That should have been used as the main theme song in the opening credits. I don't know why it wasn't. But yeah,
I have
and
to listen to that song.
yeah,
Yeah, I can't say that. Well, I'll take a look at it.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, other than that, yeah, yeah. I guess it was okay. It was like standard Bond opening fare. And then the opening, and then I guess I don't know the title credits. I actually don't remember those at all. I don't think they blew me away much. So yeah.
Definitely doesn't stick out in memory at all.
All right, John, let's hear it from you.
Yeah, well, I totally disagree. I mean, let's start there. I thought this opening was awesome. I thought it was just cool. It was entertaining. From the minute he started, there was action. It to me, it totally exemplified why Bond is cool. He was just like, I don't know, it was just like action movie. You know what I think? Um, there's a difference in our perception of this movie, and I can see that straight from the beginning, from the way that you all describe this, is that you all see this as generic, whereas I see it as quintessential. Right? So for you guys, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, run of the mill, like, oh, Bond has an action opening. I actually like the songs as well, and I think again that's part of, yeah, I like the songs. Like I didn't think that I don't think that they're the best songs, right? But they're the top percentile for me, solid B
It's
plus.
definitely not bad.
Yeah. And I yeah, just based off of what you guys said, I think that's the difference, is that I see this as like, this is action, as opposed to like, oh yeah, I've seen different forms of this several times.
Mhm.
So whatever. I really I enjoyed the opening. I thought it was action packed. I thought it exemplified why Bond is cool. And I love the 90s. And from the
This is very
opening,
90s.
so 90s. It was so very like 19th action movies. And Bond to me is very good at that. It's like depending on when it's made, you can see that. Like there's some Bond movies that seem very 80s and there were some that were very 70s. This one felt quintessential 90s movie to me and I loved it. I like from the very beginning I was
GoldenEye felt like typical 90s too, but I don't know. I just enjoyed GoldenEye more. World is not enough.
that
It's pretty 90s too, I would say.
that no, it's very 90s, I think. World is not enough is very 90s. And again, that's fine. I understand your criticism. I'm just saying that my perspective was different. But I totally get where you guys are coming from. What do you think, Ramon?
Me personally, I did enjoy the opening. I would say I did like the song, quite orchestral, standard Bond, but in being standard Bond, I guess it would be lost. It is not top tier, but it's definitely not bad. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Love the intro, because this is, I think, the second time they've introduced this M as Judi Dench, and she holds her own. So they're making her a more prominent part of the Bond universe. And in watching it, like watching this one, since this is the Bond pretty much in our generation, I can see why it dictated a lot of what like I view James Bond to be.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think it was a good opening. I see where you guys are coming from. I liked it.
No need to defend it. I'm
Yeah.
with you, John. We cool. We covered.
I'm glad it's 2-1-2. That feels good. I feel like if you're gonna switch sides at some point, but like for now, good job.
Still enjoyed it. All right, we are on to the Bond girl for this one. Let's go with John. Who was the Bond girl for you?
She was great. Actually, can Dave you take this? I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Okay. So the Bond girl for this one is definitely Michelle Yeoh. I just had to look up her name in the movie because I couldn't remember it. That's a big problem for me in this movie. I just don't find it memorable. But I thought she was good.
What was her name?
Waylon.
Why Lynn?
Right.
Waylon.
Waylon.
It's because you're racist and you give you a name in another language and you can't remember it?
That's not true.
Don't take that, Dave. Don't take that. It was just not memorable. The movie was just not.
Anyway.
I bet if her name was Tina, you'd remember it.
So I thought she was a good because she was basically not a damsel in distress. She was a agent herself. She carried herself well. She was like Bond's equivalent, and I liked that. I did not buy her chemistry with Bond though. Like I know why they did it. Like there has to be a love interest. I just didn't buy it though. Like I thought it would have been more unique if this was the Bond movie where the main Bond girl didn't sleep with Bond. And they did do that in like Quantum of Solace, and I thought it worked in Quantum of Solace too.
Right.
But sorry, jumping ahead. But basically I just didn't buy the chemistry there. And Paris Carver with Terry Hatcher. I thought that was terrible casting.
Terrible casting.
James Bond, the one who got away, the one who made James Bond like want to leave and like, oh, he actually feels something for this woman. That is like you have to be like top tier Bond girl.
Like Diana.
And
Richardson,
like Diana Rigg or Vesper. And Terry Hatcher doesn't have any of that chemistry, has none of that charisma. I don't buy it for a second. I all the time I'm questioning why is Bond even interested in this woman. Don't know.
Right.
You know why? Because when he slips off her dress and see her in the lingerie, oh my god, I was like, god damn, Terry, like the ass, dude.
Oh God.
Oh my
Jesus.
gosh, she looked in that one moment. I was like, damn,
Wow, Chris. Wow, Chris.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Just had to say that.
Yeah,
Fair
no, go for it. But since you're there, I mean, like, go for it, because
Yeah. No, I
You have
agree.
thoughts.
Like, I agree. Like, I don't know if I bought the chemistry between him and Terry Hatcher either. I don't know. I mean, Terry Hatcher's cool. I like her, but yeah, I don't know if her acting in this or her character just was really believable or anything like that. But like, I actually felt bad when she died. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know why I felt so. Because I thought she was so gorgeous. I think that's why I felt so bad. And I got to go back to man. I mean, her looking in lingerie, that was a nice shot of her body. Like, damn. But
Yeah.
And yeah, Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
Yeoh?
That's the actress's name. Yes.
That's her name.
She's also, by the way, like a quintessential Asian. It's like she is the quintessential Asian actress in my mind, right? So remember that fucking name. Like, yeah, don't second guess it. Like, that's her name. Like, you should know who her name is. She
No,
does
I
her
remember her
own
from,
stunts
like-
as well.
I
Yeah.
kind of beg to
Back in
differ,
the
but
day.
moving on. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah,
Let's keep it
no, I
moving.
remember her from back in the day. Like, yeah, wasn't she like action? Yeah, she
Yeah.
was like one of the premier, Asian action female stars. Like,
She's
yeah, I
an
definitely remember
incredible
her
actress star.
from when I was growing up. I don't know if I have anything to add to what Dave said, other than I don't know. I mean, I would actually put her up there as like one of the top Bond girls.
I agree.
I like she was so believable that she could kick ass, and
Mhm.
and I don't know, actually investigate stuff, do the spy stuff,
Yeah.
do the whole spy thing, like research stuff, show up in places where you least expect her to be. Like, I
Right.
definitely believe she was like cunning enough. She had the believability for that. So,
Right.
yeah, I liked her.
Yeah.
I liked her.
I obviously think that she is top tier Bond girl. She's like
Yeah.
maybe number 2 in my mind.
wow.
I think that she was awesome as an agent. I think that her competency level was through the roof, to the
Yeah.
point where I think that this was her show to some extent at some point, and Bond was along for the ride. He was
Yeah.
not support cast. He was on the missions. He was supporting her, as opposed to it's his mission, and she's like, okay, James, let me hold your gun. Like she was very much like, all right, James, like this is what we need to do. I need you over by that computer, and I need you to do this. And he was like, okay,
Yeah.
and I loved her for that. So do you guys remember when after they got handcuffed together and they were showering?
Yeah.
So I thought it was really interesting. He was topless and she wasn't. And I thought that was very unique for a Bond girl.
Wow. Good.
She was wearing a shirt. She wasn't in like her bra and like wet pants. He was topless. He was shirtless, and she was wearing like a loose shirt. And obviously it's wet, so it's like sticking to her body. And I was like, that is interesting. And then she pulled the sly one and she got away from him. Like I am so interesting. And she was a different level of Bond girl. I will admit that I think their partner chemistry was better than their romantic chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought they made really good partners,
Yeah.
So-
but
and-
not romantic.
Right. And I can get down with that. It and kind of like it, and him being romantic, he isn't always necessary for me. Like I know James Bond is suave, right? And I know that James Bond has a lot of sex. You don't need to have him fucking down the place every time for me to be like, okay, oh, that's James Bond, They did, have a little romp around, fine. But for me, that's the difference, right? She was a partner, someone might argue supervisor for him, as opposed to just a love interest. Terry Hatcher, on the other hand, the way that I viewed it was, when you date someone when you're really young, and it's a little bit of puppy dog love, and like you look back and you're like, you do have an affection for them, but you obviously like changed since then.
Yeah.
That's the kind of like story that I told myself happened. It's like you have a deep affection for them, and like now that might not be as obvious, but you will always have that affection for them. But looking at them side by side now, I don't see them as equals. Like Terry Hatcher, married a rich man, and it's kind of just a showpiece, right? Whereas he's a agent. His like life has blossomed and whatever. I agree with you, Chris. When she died, I did feel sad, and here's
Yeah.
the reason why I felt sad. I think her story was very tragic. It was kind of like loads of potential, and I feel as if like it's like one of those women's stories where it's like, when they're young and they're fiery and they've got so much potential, and then they kind of don't do anything with it because they married rich. So you're not like, that opens the world for you, but it's kind of like you have everything, so you have no drive to achieve anything, one. And two, you're married to a very rich person, so you're kind of constrained to what you're actually allowed to do,
That was the other thing. I did not understand why she was married to Elliot Carver. Again, that made
Money,
no sense.
money, Dave.
But
Money.
yeah, so it's money. But even as a
See.
youth, I just don't see how Bond could ever have been attracted to her. And the other thing is, I feel like if the only purpose in the movie for her was to have her die, you have had how many movies are we into Bond now? Like this is what 14 or 15?
I think this is
More. 'Cause what are we?
Okay,
yeah, I
well,
feel
there's
it's like
a lot.
16.
So say this is 16. You've had 16 movies, over 16 women. You had even recent ones. Even if you couldn't bring back an actress, you could have brought back like a name drop.
Right.
Like someone from an older movie would have had such a bigger impact. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
she's back. And then
Right.
it's like it's that moment, like you felt sad when she died. It
Right.
would have meant so much more. Like
Yeah.
if they brought back Natalia or even
Here's the problem with that though.
from someone else too.
Yeah, here's the problem with that. Look, like the amount of time it takes to film the movie is like the age is going to be noticeable.
Right.
The age is
But
definitely-
not
Yeah,
only
but-
not only that, right? I do believe this wasn't a love that when James Bond was James Bond. This was a love when James Bond was a young man before he was ever going to be whatever, This is, and that's the reason why I use that reference of like a first love sort of situation where it's
Okay.
like it's very early on. You're not a fully formed adult, and like it's that puppy dog love. But like even though in hindsight you're like, oh, that's not the person I'm gonna end up with for the rest of my life. They're always gonna hold a soft spot in your heart. They're always going to be a certain amount of affection that you have for that person, especially if it doesn't like if it,
I
it
get
didn't
it.
work
I
out,
get it.
right?
Yeah, I get it.
And I think that's a thing that
We discounted for her.
no, I don't know if to say if it's difficult to convey or if they just didn't do it well, but I will say that's again, because I liked the movie, maybe I was like accepting more things. But that's the story that I was like that I picked up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story that I picked up from watching the movie. Again, also like I was really enjoying it. So like I was picking up on everything. I was trying like I was in it. Granted, of course, I actually don't like Terry Hatcher's character at all, but like
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned the whole computer thing. Like I thought that when like that situation popped up and they were in her headquarters and it's like an open air with all the computers and everything,
Yeah.
I thought you would have actually been a little bit annoyed at how ridiculous that was. But
I did think that it was ridiculous, but I thought it was funny as well and it was funny to me because for a couple of reasons. One of them specifically, they seem to be in a very like old, not rural China, but like in a very old setup. And then all of a sudden,
Yep.
like computers coming out of the place. You're sitting on the computer, sir. You know,
Yeah,
like
once again, there's not even a door.
right. And again, so those things made me laugh. Like I thought that was all part of the comedy of it all, and also her being an Asian woman. I don't know if any of y'all like felt this, but I thought it was very funny the way that they treated China and Chinese culture, China on its whole. Kind of like if like that's what happens, you know, a bunch of old grannies and grandpas are in their back, and then they're like pull open and they have like computers there. I mean, like what? It's weird. Like, why would a computer? I just didn't understand why a computer would be in that location. I get like spies and whatever, but it's like it's just so weird. And I
Yeah,
laughed
I
it off.
agree. All right, I'm gonna have to agree with the others there, John. In my opinion, I'm gonna go with I think Judy Dench stole the Bond girl for me in this one.
Oh wow.
Really?
I'm just saying, like, she seemed in this one, like she seemed like that supervisor for Bond.
She was definitely was.
But we didn't even get an M scene. It was just them in the car.
Yeah.
There was them in the car. There was M sticking up for him at the very beginning. It's like, all right, he's this is what he's trained to do. This is what he's going to do. Or
Like
even like her
pump her for information.
and the beginning scene where Bond is getting the plane. But yes, pump her for information. Like to me, like their work, their chemistry shot to another level. Even like some of her lines, like she had some bomb ass lines in this one. So I will admit, Michelle Yeoh, great partner for Bond. Terry Hatcher's character, she was there.
She was there.
I guess move the plot along, but to me, I kind of was all about M for this one.
I can see that. Dame Judi Dench is pretty awesome. So like, yeah.
And I think
can get
this
on
was
that.
the Bond where they were just like, all right, let's solidify her as M, sort of to solidify her as the head of MI6 in this situation,
Right.
and
Right.
did a good job. Did a good job to me. And we are on to the next one. You know me, I'm all about the lines. I was kind of segueing into it, but let's go to the villains first. So what do you guys think about the villain?
Yeah, this guy. I'm gonna go first on this one. This guy, I did not like this guy one bit. Just too silly.
Elliot Carver.
I mean, I understand. I guess that's what they're going for. You know, more of like a nerd, corny type of villain. But I kind of wish they played him a little more serious. I just wasn't liking it at all. I couldn't take this man serious one bit. I didn't feel like Bond was in danger at all at any point. Like, I mean, I liked the angle they were going for in this movie with, you know, I guess at that time, whatever year it was it 96 when this movie came out? Like, you know, I guess the internet was now starting to become a big thing. And I don't know.
The media house was
media was starting to take on a different, I guess, way of getting to people, like through the internet and stuff, or I don't know, like, or just technology was advancing and allowing like media to just, you know, be more easily delivered to people and maybe even more easily manipulated. So I mean, that was an interesting take, you know, on how the world was developing. I kind of liked it, but this guy, Elliot Carver, man, I did not like him, the silliness at all. I mean, at one point when he has Michelle Yeoh captured, like he's like, "What are you gonna do? Your kung fu karate? Yeah, like."
Oh yeah,
Like,
that
what?
was a
That's
terrible.
that was bad. Yeah.
That's so silly. It's so stupid. I don't know, dude. So there's no redeeming qualities for this character.
What about the henchman?
I mean, Stamper was
Stamper?
basically another. Shoot, what was the guy from Russia with Love? The stereotype blonde.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. What's his name? Fuck. I forget that guy's name. Grant. That's him.
Grant. Yeah,
Grant,
there you
right.
go, Grant, yeah,
Grant.
another Grant, basically.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the henchman. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you, Chris. And it's weird. I think Jonathan Pryce is a really good actor.
Yes.
I think he could have done a lot for the role. For some reason, this character always reminds me of Steve Jobs, and I don't know if it's intentional, but he
Yeah, it's
always
definitely
reminds me of
intentional.
Steve Jobs.
Yes.
They're totally doing that. They're totally going for that.
Okay, well,
Isn't he before Steve Jobs though? Like before Steve Jobs got
No,
big. That's
No, Steve Jobs. I mean, Apple.
was big
come
back
on,
then.
like,
You sure?
he
no,
didn't
I mean,
have the
not nearly as big
same
as.
fame, but he was
Mm.
definitely big, relevant.
The other thing was like Chris said, this take had so much potential. They could have done so much with it. Because I mean, you just look at it now. I mean, even now, with
I actually hear the concept of that Bond villain and his plan like still thrown around.
yeah, this is
Somewhere
such
design.
interesting
Concept.
plot
Yep.
device. They could have done
I'm really-
so much.
I'm really glad to hear you guys say that because that is one of the reasons why I love this movie as well. Because I think that this is it's crazy, but it's also, if you think about it, so realistic, and I really
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. But you were saying this?
Not much else to say. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you have a really good actor, you have a really good villainous plot,
Yeah.
but for some reason, it's terrible. I don't know.
Wow, terrible. Okay,
I
right.
don't know what happened, but it's just the villain is not. I mean, is memorable, but for the wrong reasons. And I like James Bond never feels threatened. It kind of feels like a joke. They never take the villain's plot and develop it into anything interesting with something that has so much potential to take it down so many different interesting things. They just play with it and then that's it. That's yeah, we're just doing this for fun, which is fair enough, but I mean you can have interesting fun and it just wasn't interesting for me.
Okay. I thought it was incredibly interesting because, again, to think, let's say an action movie from my childhood that I feel nostalgic about, back then, they saw how menacing a situation this could become. And I like the fact that they even like chose to go there. I like the bad guy because he was so easy to hate. Like he was just so easy to dislike, and I enjoyed the crap out of that. He was a twat nugget, and I enjoyed seeing Bond take him down. And it wasn't like in a yeah, you're right. There wasn't a point where I was like, "Oh, Bond isn't going to do it. He isn't. He's he's going to be matched wit for wit." No, but I enjoyed there being. You know what it is? Not every this villain wasn't like quintessential to Bond's story, right? But I enjoyed watching him take him down, and it was a good like. If we're looking at the Bonds as episodes, this isn't the villain that you're like he's the big bad villain, but he's definitely a villain who I think is really fun to see die. I liked seeing him die. It wasn't like, well, go down. I like so that actor, he played was it the Sparrow in Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Right?
yeah. Yeah.
And
he
I
did.
hated that character. I hated that character as well, right? But for
Oh yeah.
completely different reasons, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. I like seeing him like this and being weird, entertaining. I thought he was entertaining.
He would have been a good
So
side character. He would have been a good like fucking henchman or something. I don't know. He would have been a good side character.
maybe
Comic relief or some shit. I don't know.
right. So I see where you're coming from. If he was like the second bad guy, there was like a main bad guy, and he was like the second bad guy, it would have been a little bit better. Nah, I
Here's
this
here's my take on it.
he
Oh, go
made me
ahead.
dislike him enough that I was like I was satisfied. I didn't need any more from him. I was good. Yeah, you're up for one.
Yeah, here's my take on him. I agree with you, John. Like he is not the I don't know, maybe like somebody you end the season finale or mid-season break on for sure.
Right.
But I think he's a solid Bond character. I guess they made at all points Bond commanded the room even when he was there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He wasn't menacing to Bond in any form or fashion. But I kind of liked him as a character, just
Really?
because.
He was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
like he's a writer. Whatever he writes, he's got to have some whimsy. He's got to have some character, some oomph around him. Bond sleeps with his wife. Completely shows him out.
Right.
And at all points, it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna try and make Bond suffer and do it. He just seemed believable. I'm gonna make Bond suffer, but he's not a bad guy. Like he's got evil plans, but he's not a bad
Right.
guy. And it showed. So I'm gonna get Stamper to torture you. I'm gonna make a joke about it. I'm gonna try to belittle you. Never works.
Right.
I think he's a believable villain. So for that, I thought he was okay. He's not memorable in my opinion, but I thought he was a pretty okay villain. And the idea for this, they
Yeah.
could do this today. Didn't they
They
do this
need
in
to
the
do
last one
They need to do this
or something
Yeah.
similar?
in the last one.
Not quite.
But yeah, but they
I don't think so.
yeah, they need to do this again because once again, the idea of it, like people still throw around in relation to like the media houses nowadays.
How they can manipulate public perception. Yeah.
Exactly. Still referenced today.
Yeah.
So on the nose, Bond guys.
They
On
did
the
they did
nose.
kind of do it in Spencer, but it was more from a standpoint of, monitoring people and
Mm.
like thinking you have all the information, but then they plant information.
Right.
So very
Yeah,
similar
basically
concept.
creating their own news or creating their own situations
Yeah.
based on their information.
It's
But the funny thing
it's-
is, it didn't work in Spectre either. Like it was
Fair.
is really funny, and I guess we'll talk
Get
about
to it.
that when we get to Spectre. Yeah, so I won't go into it.
I don't think that it didn't work. I think that it worked well enough here. I really enjoyed it. Just the idea of it. Yeah,
the idea,
I really enjoyed it.
But the execution, though.
From the idea of it, no, to the execution as well. Like him just
Perfect
like
execution. Like he had a stealth ship.
yeah.
Like
Which again, right, made me laugh so bad just because I'm watching Star Trek and they talk about stealth ships and I'm just like, you idiots, cloaking devices.
Okay, even that. Okay, yeah, a stealth ship. Come on, and it's a big black ship that you see from a mile away. Like,
Right.
yeah, stealth ship. Like it was a fantastic plan. Like you cause World War III, get into the area that you want because it's been destabilized. I'm not being bad or anything, but the Americans do this, or sort of do that. But moving on.
No, but that's exactly it because it's
agree.
not
I agree.
And it's not a country that is wrong, it's a media house. How crazy is that?
Yeah,
Um
I agree. Yeah, is it that crazy?
exactly.
There we go.
But
There we go.
that's the reason why it's interesting, and that's the reason. So basically, that's the reason why it works for me on several levels. And
This is why I
bad guy,
hate CNN.
huh?
Wait, what?
This is why I hate CNN. Tomorrow never dies. CNN's the enemy.
But
Yeah.
That was
basically,
CNN. Fucking
I think
Fox News.
Fox
Jesus
News.
Christ.
Yeah, there you go.
the
That's
world, no, but okay, so not to like snowball, but the world is in a state of anxiety because there is a lot of stuff going on, right? But that 24-hour news cycle, having to make news constantly, there is a certain level of anxiety associated with that. And that's when they get their best ratings, when stuff is going on, when bad things are going on. We make Okay, so obviously Trump
I was gonna say that.
no, I
All right, we with that let's keep our viewers and move on to the next one.
no, I wasn't saying, I'm not gonna argue the merits or demerits of Trump. What I'm gonna say, right, is that
Filled a new cycle. He did fill a new cycle.
filled a news cycle. There was always news because there was always some crazy thing that was happening, right? And that's the reason why I think that character worked again, because someone who is creating stories like this is going to be outlandish, is going to be over the top, is going to be crazy, for lack of a better word. And honestly, exactly what he was, kind of annoying. Shut up.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
the reason
exactly
why,
how I felt.
and
Yeah.
that's the reason why I was happy to see Bond sleep with his wife and take him down, because I was like, dude, just like, I mean, I'm not condoning someone sleeping with your wife, right? But you kind of look for it, so move along.
Dead. All right, so we're at the best point of the episode so far. Bond lines, people.
All right, going first.
All right. So I've got 3 dimensions, so I'm gonna let everybody else go first. Hopefully, you guys will touch on them.
Oh wow, damn son.
I watched this movie, and that's what I said. Like, this definitely was an imprint of what Bond should be for me.
But Ramon, so if you have if you said you have 3,
Mm.
so there's no way that you're not going to have ours. So maybe you should say yours, and we will be like, yeah, that's the one that I wanted, because I know. Yeah, go for it. And here's the other thing, right? So you guys were complaining about this movie. The fact that Ramon has 3 lines shows that this movie was also very funny. So we have action. It's funny. Good concept. This is a good movie. But anyhow, carry on.
It's a great Bond movie. In my
I'm saying.
It has the
It's
ingredients, but when you put them together, to me, it didn't execute.
Yeah,
very
for me
well.
too.
Like,
Very
it has the
entertaining.
ingredients for sure, but yeah. Anyway,
I was.
But I will say
bored
this.
watching this.
It had the formula. It did have the perfect formula.
It had the formula. Anyhow, so what are your lines, Ramon?
All
Because
right,
I
so
want to hear if my line is first or what.
top one, hands down for me. The entire Q exchange, and at the very end, grow up, 007. Like, through that entire exchange that he had, I was just like, this is perfect. This is Bond in a nutshell. Witty, back and forth, problem child, grow up. But I'm good at my
Right.
job. Simple.
Is that when he zooms in?
Nobody's driving the car. Oh, like
Oh,
when Q
right,
gives him the
right.
car.
Yeah. What about
Alright,
yours, John?
No, he has more.
Oh, you're
second
gonna
one,
say all three? Okay.
second one, when Moneypenny is like, for Queen and Country. Was
Right.
Moneypenny or it was Money. I think it was Moneypenny. For Queen and Country. James, we know you're sleeping with women. We know you're gonna put up with information, but Queen country, like all of it is on our dime. Get used to it.
She actually approved.
And last but not least, another M line.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'm saying M was the bomb in this movie.
Right, right.
Once again, speaking to the American general, the British general, she was like, he is berating her. Sometimes I don't think you have the balls for this job.
Oh yeah.
Cha.
And it's like, maybe not, but that way I don't have to think with them. And just shuts the man down immediately. Like at that point, you can't say shit. Unfortunately, Carver came in with a new story afterwards. But
Right.
top three for me. Top three for me, hands down.
What do you think, John?
Those weren't Bond lines, but I mean, you were really like crushing hard on M.
On M though, holy shit.
You very much.
I was feeling M in this one.
I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it too, but like, I mean, I feel like if we have different levels of appreciation.
For this one, I
Um,
will admit.
my one was the backseat driver line. I was like, fuck yeah. Because he like drove in the backseat. I don't know. That one, like, I thought that was hilarious. And it was just, I don't know. I laughed my ass off. That was the line that it was not like an over the top line. It was just like a simple line. But for some reason, like those lines hit me so hard in this movie. And I was like, I laughed when he said that line.
Yeah, that was like a traditional Bond line.
One line.
Whereas like something happens and he sees the humor in it. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
taxi drivers.
Backstreet Drivers. Yeah, not perfect. That was like perfectly delivered, perfect for the time, everything about it. Boom. What was yours, Chris?
So this one, I can't remember what the lead up to it was, but I remember Bond was talking with he's talking with Moneypenny on the phone, and Moneypenny tells him, and I forget what the lead up to this was, but Money tells him, "You always were a cunning linguist, Bond."
Oh, that was actually.
Yeah, I think he
Right.
was talking about how he loves to learn a new tongue.
Yeah.
Because that was after the beginning, and he was
Yeah.
yeah,
They're just
Oh,
brushing up on some Danish.
that double entendre right there.
Right,
yeah, that was good. That was a good one.
right.
That was a good one, but I'm like, would anyone ever call someone a cunning linguist?
Okay,
But anyway,
you're overthinking this.
anyway, yeah,
She did
I'm
put
fucking
words in
with
that
it.
situation.
It was a good line. It was a good line. It was
I
good.
thinking that one. Come on, man.
So my line is going to be when he gets cuffed to Michelle Yeoh, and he says, "We seem to have developed an attachment to each other
Oh,
because they're
okay.
cuffed."
Oh
It's
my
like the
Yeah.
backseat driver kind of line for me, where he's like,
Yeah.
just says something.
I will admit that I laughed at that pretty hard as well, but I'm actually embarrassed that I laughed at it
Okay.
now that
Agreed.
you've said it out loud. Now I'm just like, oh god, cringe.
Y'all's humor scares me. Jesus.
You know what's the thing about it? I enjoyed this movie so. Okay, so are we done? Can I go into final thoughts?
Final
Yeah.
thoughts indeed.
You-
Let's move
Can
into
we go
final
there?
thoughts.
Can we
We
just
got a
do
line
it,
done.
John?
Let's do it, right? Listen, I just enjoyed this movie so much, right? Every dumb thing that happened like that, I was just like, yes, on board for it. And that's the reason why the villain wasn't a problem for me, right? Because I wasn't looking for a overly serious movie. I didn't get okay, so I didn't get a movie where they were being incredibly serious and they were like, James Bond was trying to give us a serious introspection into the way that media houses operate. No, we were getting a good idea and it was brought to us in a very good James Bond way. It wasn't taking itself serious. There was humor involved. There was good action. I'm actually surprised that nobody talked about the action at all. Because again, while I didn't think it was the most amazing action, I thought it was really solid. Him driving the car with his device. I mean, like, it's not, not the first time that we've seen it, but it was entertaining. You know, that motorcycle scene. I thought that motorcycle scene was
That
really well done.
that was really good.
And
One of the best
for
movies.
Waylon, they had an actress who could do stunts, and I thought that they used her really, really well. It wasn't. That's the reason why she seemed like if she was more in control than him, because it felt like if she was doing more fighting and she was taking down people as opposed to him at certain times. And I was like, you're firing on all cylinders because you're really bringing this together. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the crap out of it. Such a good movie. I understand why you guys don't like it as much as me, but I really do think that if you okay, do y'all think that this was a B movie or an A movie?
B movie.
B
I thought it was a B movie.
B movie, yeah.
Rowan?
B movie.
Yeah, exactly, right? And this is the type of B movie that this is not Inception.
It's not
Right?
supposed to be a B movie.
Yeah.
I guess that's the problem. That was
Is
my
it not
problem.
supposed to be a B movie? Because
At
here's the
most,
thing,
it's not
right?
supposed to be a B
In my
movie.
mind, right?
At
This
least at
is
this
like
point.
one of and when I say B movie, I don't mean this as a bad B movie that you're like, oh, well, I guess I just spent my money on that movie and I'm never gonna watch it again. Rewatching this movie reminded me I'm gonna keep this movie around, and it's definitely gonna be one of those movies that like I just enjoy so much. I can just turn it on. I don't have to like I've already thought about it and whatever. I can just sit down and I can enjoy the crap out of it. Like it's one of those B movies. It's one of those incredible transcendental B movies that is so good.
Mm.
It's an A movie in my heart. Like 100%. Like I love this movie so much. Like the next movie is the one that has a special place in my heart. But watching this movie, I could not believe how much I enjoyed it. I usually, especially with the long running times, I usually have a hard time getting through these movies. And this one just entertained the crap out of me throughout. This is one of the most entertaining James Bond movies I think that they ever did.
What?
Huh.
Yep.
So what's your rating then, John?
What's my rating? Are we doing ratings one time?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
final thoughts. Final thoughts.
This is a 10 out of 10 for me, guys. Like I'm not even gonna act like if it's
Wow.
not. It's a 10,
Jesus
sure,
Christ. Oh my
10,
God.
absolutely a 10. And I really thought that I was going to.
We watched the same
I-
movie.
I'm Chris. I
We've all got our hills.
I enjoyed-
We're gonna die on, and that's.
I
this is John's.
enjoyed the crap out of this film. If there's this film, I really don't know if the next film is going to continue it for me, or if I'd have been like, oh, I'm over it, you know, I already got what I wanted. But this film just entertained the crap out of me, and I just enjoyed it so much. It has nostalgia. It was funny. It was action packed. It was good concept. I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, damn good movie.
Fair enough.
What do you think?
Look, I'm gonna give you that. It had good action, especially that motorcycle scene with them on the
That
bike.
motorcycle scene was boss, dude.
That's one of the best in the series. I mean, they're like flipping positions on the motorcycle, like trying to get away from a helicopter shooting at like
Right.
that. That shit was tight. You know, it had good action. I'll give you that. And the concept was good. You know, about a media powerhouse manipulating the public. I don't know if to me the villain just kind of ruined it all. Like
Sure.
this guy was just too, and I get the point. Like I agree with you. Maybe, you know, maybe you need somebody who's like kind of crazy, a little bit out there, you know, who's like writing these outlandish stories. You know, maybe it takes that kind of a person. But to me, it just doesn't work as a main villain. You know, I need somebody, I don't know, you need somebody to like kind of anchor your big bad plan, you know, and this guy
Right.
does not really, it's not really accurate for me, man. So it had like all the good ingredients there, you know, had a really good Bond girl with Wei Lin. Um, I don't even know. Was the ending like really good? I guess it had some good action in the ending too. Yeah, so I guess I'll agree. Like it had good ingredients, and to me, I think the villain just kind of ruins it for me. And as you said, it is kind of like a B movie, and that's not what I'm going into a Bond. What I want to see out of a Bond movie. I'm not happy with a B movie. I want A, and so I'm giving this a 6.
Wow.
I don't know.
Taking this personally, by the way.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just fucking. I'm just messing.
I agree. Like, I agree. Again, I agree. Everything was there for this movie to succeed in my eyes. And to me, the villain just did not deliver properly.
What I will say about the ending was satisfying to me. I got everything that I wanted out of it, and it did come to a point where I was like, great, this movie is done. I can move on with my life. Like, I thought it was very satisfying.
What about you, Ramon?
I have to agree with Chris. This one, I've said it before. This one had the formula to be absolutely amazing. I just don't know why it did not hit home for me. I don't know if it was, to me, maybe the entire movie was maybe grandiose. It overshadowed Bond to some extent.
Yes.
Right.
So it's the action, the plot, I guess the villain, like everything seems to overshadow in terms of Bond and a detective movie, which Bond, or espionage movie, which James Bond usually is. So it's got everything to be amazing. Like as I said, I had 3 Bond lines in it. The action was amazing. I had Bond girl, though you all don't agree with me, but but I guess even that that kind of overshadowed Bond as well, because I thought those scenes were also grandiose as well. So I don't know, it just didn't hit to me, even with the perfect formula. So I was gonna go with the 7. But I might be at like 6.5, 6. Like I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I don't know why it just, in terms of Bond ratings, it just didn't. It's not
Right.
not one of the best Bonds for me.
Yeah.
So if you had to choose between 6 or 7,
6.
okay, I'll start with the good. I'm actually
wow.
surprised that Chris and Ramon rated it so low. I was
Me
expecting
too. I'm actually
expecting
genuinely
them
surprised.
to rate this higher. Okay, I liked David Arnold came in this movie and then did the score James Bond for every movie since. Like aside from
See
John
that?
Barry, this is James Bond. I actually liked the score in the last one, GoldenEye. Like for me, that's super nostalgic. But I know I can appreciate this is James Bond movie score, whereas GoldenEye was kind of experimental.
Right.
I never watched this as a kid. I watched GoldenEye and then I watched Road is Not Enough. So I don't know if watching it with nostalgia would have had a difference in terms of how I view it. But for me, it did have really good action. I will give it that. It did have there's one really good scene, even though I don't like Paris Carver. Her death scene where the assassin is in the room. I actually
He's
really like
fantastic.
that scene. Like
Yeah.
that's my favorite scene in the movie. Is like Bond is actually in danger. I'm actually like, whoa, how's he gonna get out of this?
Hmm. Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
actually forgot about that. Holy shit.
and
Forgot
I
about that.
actually you don't see that much in James Bond anymore. Like that kind of reminded me of like a Sean Connery moment. I was like, whoa, that's cool. And it had
Fantastic Henchman.
a good Bond movie, but for some reason I don't know why it just didn't all fall into place. I do like Michelle Yeoh, not as a romantic interest, but just because I think they pulled off the female secret agent Bond equivalent
Yeah.
good in this movie, whereas they've tried it in the past with Holly Goodhead and
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. I'm gonna have to disagree.
Tasha.
but
was it
but,
Tasha
but
Rock?
here's the
I'm
thing.
gonna have to disagree.
I,
Goodhead
I
was
mentioned
fantastic.
so I'm mentioning The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker. This movie felt like a rehash of those two movies. It was like
Uh,
Moonraker was a rehash of The Spy Who Loved Me, and I feel like this is almost like a rehash of those two movies, but with Pierce Brosnan. They even had like the ship, and the ending kind of reminded me of The Spy Who Loved Me, but it
Mm.
just wasn't as good. It was just like, oh, they even have like Grant, but instead now his name is Thumper or something. It's just, I don't know. I've seen this before.
Did
Do
you say
something to make
Thumper?
it more interesting, and they didn't.
that's not
Stamper,
Thumper.
Stamper.
Thumper was a.
Oh,
Oh,
that's what I was
Stamper.
about to say.
Oh, Thumper is
Yeah,
from
Stamper.
yeah,
Yeah.
Thumper is another one. Yeah, you're right. Um, so yeah,
Mammy and Thumper.
I remember watching this and being bored. I it's nothing like it didn't do anything offensively bad. It's
Yeah.
not that Diamonds Are Forever. It just didn't excel at any one thing for me.
Right.
I'm giving it a 6 as well.
I can see where you guys are coming from because I have definitely the way that you guys are describing this is definitely a way that I know that I have felt, and I've been in the opposite position so many times, where you guys are like, "You love the movie," and I'm like, "I don't get it," you know. But I definitely enjoyed the crap out of it. I just really enjoyed watching this movie. I forgot how much I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna add it to my list of movies that like I have a bunch of action movies that I just like. I don't need to think. I just need to turn it on, and I'll just like have a good time. A lot of the Marvel movies are like that for me. It's not just good entertainment. There's a good rewatchability about it as well.
It was a 10 for you, so definitely.
Yeah.
I do think the
And
nostalgia may have probably made me rate it higher if I
It might have.
had watched it. Yeah.
so
I would agree.
so, but here's the funny thing about it, right? The nostalgia factor is definitely there, but I didn't watch this movie. This wasn't my first Bond movie. I watched this after, so I know that I was young, but I wasn't like the youngest that I could be.
Mhm.
I still enjoyed it.
I didn't really like Bond growing up, honestly, until we hit Casino Royale, man. Like, I did not like. I still don't really like espionage movies that kind of way. I just don't know. I just find them kind of boring, not very exciting. I'm not
It
not a fan of an
really
espionage movie, and I
it,
did not like Bond. Growing
it
up.
really depends on the movie. The next movie, I can't wait to watch it because that is full nostalgia.
The first one.
We shall see if that still like
See if
hits
it
me
goes
the
well.
way that it
You
hits me.
read that in 11,
I'm-
that dog.
I'm thinking about it and I'm already excited. So excited.
I just
So
hope it
here's
lives
what.
up.
Espionage movies, they're hit or miss because I think I really enjoy Mission Impossible movies, right? But I have to admit, I haven't watched all the Mission Impossible movies because other than Mission Impossible 2,
Yeah.
the rest of them, while I enjoyed them, I'm not really sure like what they were doing. I just know that they did like cool fun stuff.
They all, right. Yeah. Right. Right. They all kind of seem kind of the same, but
Yeah.
they were good. They were good, but you know.
Yeah. I entertaining, but yeah, they did cool fun stuff. I'm not really sure after that, you know. I think Felicity died in one of them. Like, yeah.
Pretty bad too. Like,
Yeah, that was awful.
explodes in her head. And
Yes.
like, oh my god.
They even did like the eye thing. Where
Yes.
like,
Yes. Oh my god. I still remember that. I was like, whoa.
yeah.
This sounds like trouble right there. Ugh.
So overall rating for the four of us, Tomorrow Never Dies ends up at a 7,
7?
I think so.
which isn't bad.
No,
It's not bad. It's not bad.
it was
I
a bad one.
we all said it was a B movie. It's just for me that B movie surpassed. It's like the pinnacle of B movies that I'm sorry I love. But I mean, this is my weak spot because I friggin' love Mortal Kombat and all those crappy movies. I rewatched the old Street Fighter and I have to say, right? So that's a D movie. So hits in a way that I'm like, yeah, A movie, best movies ever. If I'm making a list, I think everyone should write a list of 100 movies that everyone should watch, right? And that is going to be on that list for me just because it is just so bad. It is so good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, we've reached the end.
And
Dies chapter closes.
That's it for us. The next one is World's Not Enough. Tune in again, people. Morning time
Never do
signing
it.
off.
See you later.